The next thing we have to do is, having successfully implemented our tag selection mechanism, when the user presses the submit button on the tag adding page, then we need to take all those tags and associate them with the article. So first of all, we need to make sure that we can carry over the article ID and all of those tags we've just added into the routine which will be doing all of that database work. So let's just do that first of all. So let's go back into new article tags.aspx and choose let's look at the designer first of all. Let's just, before we go on, it's always best to just check that we're doing things right as we go along, rather than try to go too far ahead. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add in this page another label to just check that we can successfully carry over, after the button has been pressed, all the data that we've added, all those tags that we've added, and also we want to make sure that we can carry over the ID of the field that of the ID of the record which represents the new article. So let's create another label, we just on this page, and we'll leave it as it's named here, label 1. We're just going to use that to check that we can successfully carry over everything across. Okay. Now let's go back into the coding. Okay, new article tags.aspx. Go into the view code section. Okay, let me just make it a little bit bigger so we can see more. Now, as you see, we're getting the title of the text from the previous page by using the request params mechanism, and we're getting the article title. Remember, we also added to the URL that little phrase NID. If we look in new article, wait a minute. If we look in new article the view code page, the page we're actually adding the article. If you remember, right at the very end, we've got this line here: server transfer new article tags.aspx NID equals that, and NID is the ID of the record which are representing the last paper added to the database. So select @identity gives us this the very last record added to the database. Okay, so having done that, so we've got this NID thing, so we can get that. Let's go back into new article tags VB, and let's say create something like this: article ID equals request.params open bracket quote NID, and that will give us that value. But then, however, then comes the question. This value has been passed from the previous page, where we actually input the article, into this page where we're adding the tags. But how is it going to be taken to the next routine, which is by clicking on the button on that page? If I look here, the article tags, when you click on the button here, what should happen is that that article number is going to get associated with the tags that have been input. But how will it know what the article ID is? In fact, it won't. It won't be able to, unless we either add it into the URL like we did in the previous one. But that's becoming a little bit complicated. But an easier and nicer way of doing it is to create a hidden field on this page which will contain that value, so the user won't see it, but it will be on the page. Okay, so the way you can do that is so we're in the designer here. Let's kind of add a hidden field just above the button. Okay, so because it's hidden, it doesn't really matter where it is. But if we go here now, open the toolbox, you'll go down the page. You see there, hidden field. Let's just drag this into the page. Okay, currently called hidden field 1, and I'm just going to give it a name to make it more expressive. I'm going to call it something like article ID field. Okay, so there's article ID field will be our hidden field. Okay, so now I need to make that hidden field have the value, which is to say the ID of the record that we've just added to the database. So let's go back into new article aspx.vb, And now what we will do, sorry, not new article, I want new article tags. Let me just move that. So new article tags.aspx.vb. So this article ID here, rather than well, I did wrong. I should say dim article ID equals request params NID. Now let's associate this article ID with the hidden field. Okay, so let's say article ID field dot, and here it's, you don't have text, you have value. Dot value equals article ID. Okay, so now what we've done by putting that into that field, it means when we start to program the button, which is going to take all of this stuff we've added, it will be able to get hold of it ultimately, because it wouldn't otherwise. So having put that into this hidden field on the page, so there's the there's the hidden field on the page, that will contain the ID of the record we've just added to the database, in order that our routine inside the button will be able to see it. So let's program that. So let's click on the button and double click on the button. Okay, and now then inside this button click here, let's just check, let's just try and populate label 1 with all this information we need, namely the ID of the record representing the article plus all the tags we want to add to that. So let's do it. So let's say label 1 dot text equals, now so it's going to be article ID field dot value ampersand space ampersand, and now I'm going to put in the tags, which will of course in that field tag field. But this now being a text field, is not text field dot value, it's dot text. Okay, so having done that, let's now check that it'll work. Let's start again on new article. We'll again add another dummy article into the system. Then we will try to add some tags to it, and what we'll hope is that we get the ID of the article we tried to add to will appear, as well as all the tags we wanted to add to it. So I'm clicking my add article to entry to database. I'm going to choose 2 of these, ubiquity, multimodality, and another one which will just say audio, which could be anything really. And now I'm going to click on the button. Okay, and what should that? There it is. Look, so it says, and it has worked. So we've got hold of the ID of the record we've just added to the database, the new article we've just added to the database, and now we've got the tags. So we've got everything we need fundamentally now. So now we've got everything we need. Now we're going to try adding them to the database.